Welcome to a new episode of the 90s Metal Gamer, where we stay hydrated and play video games. The Sonic franchise has had its fair share of ups and downs, more specifically when transitioning from 2D to 3D. Arguably, the worst Sonic game of all time is Sonic 06, released in 2006. A close second would be Sonic the Hedgehog 4, but I cannot give a legit backstory or review on it because I have never played it. And I think it would be very unfair if I did give it a review without playing it first. But I have read articles about it saying it is absolutely terrible. And because of those articles, I will not be playing that game. Don't quote me on that though, because I said the same thing about Sonic and the Secret Rings and Sonic and the Black Knight. And surprise, surprise, I ended up buying them because I am a die-hard Sonic fan. You have probably heard me say this over and over again, but Sonic will always hold a special place in my heart because Sonic is what got me into gaming when I was a kid. My very first console that I ever owned was a Sega Genesis, and it came bundled with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I got it on Christmas Day many years ago when I was just a wee little boy. And it's because of that reason that I will hold Sonic very high on the pedestal. But enough about my love for Sonic. This video is a casual review of Sonic Superstars. Truth be told, I was really skeptical about buying this game. And to be quite honest, full disclosure, I should have remained skeptical. Now don't get me wrong, I love me a good 2D side-scroller, especially if it's a Sonic game. But in this case, Sonic Superstars tried to do a return to form. At least that's what I think they were trying to do. And in my opinion, they did not hit the mark they were trying to shoot for. Considering that this game released after Sonic Frontiers, I would have expected a lot more from this. But it was a fall from grace. And I mean this in the most respectful way possible towards Sonic and Sega. I can only guess what Sega was trying to do with Sonic was revive the old school 2D platformer genre. And for me, I was just severely disappointed in this game all around. I wanted to enjoy this game. I wanted to like this game. I wanted this game to be good. I wanted this game to be among the greatest games of all time. But no. In my opinion, it just couldn't make the cut, and I'll explain everything in this casual review. Considering that this video is a casual review, I must iterate that I did not complete this game to 100% completion, but I will say I collected all 7 Chaos Emeralds, but that was not 100% completion. Over the course of this review, we're going to go over the story, the gameplay, the presentation, and the music, and then we'll wrap it all up with a water score. Cue the channel intro.
And then the Lord said,
I want to see your tiny head.
Before we get into this review video, I want to talk a little bit about the developmental process of Sonic Superstars and how it eventually came to be. I have to give credit to Sonic Superstars fandom page because that's where I gathered all of my information about the developmental process. As we all know, Sonic Mania was a huge success because of a die-hard fan that goes by the name of Christian Whitehead. If you don't know Christian Whitehead, Google him. Considering the success between Christian Whitehead and Sonic Team, they wanted to collaborate even more on future Sonic titles. More specifically, 2D Sonic titles. Whitehead founded a development company named Evening Star and began making 2.5D prototypes of these ideas that Sega wanted. Unfortunately, that prototype got abandoned because Whitehead's team was working on another game called Penny's Big Breakaway. While Evening Star already went and left in a different direction, Sonic Team would use these ideas from Evening Star and be an influence to what created Sonic Superstars. Sonic Frontiers was designed for more of the hardcore gamer in mind, considering that Sonic Superstars wanted to go back to the classic Sonic feel for the fans and children. Considering that Sonic Team was going for a classic Sonic feel to it, the designers made the game without the use of voice acting or text. And this is a perfect segue into the story. I'm pretty sure you all know the drill by now. I suck at storytelling, so I'm going to let the game tell the story for me. Enjoy. And that about sums it up. The story follows the same footsteps as that of Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Sonic & Knuckles. Very simple. Dr. Eggman is up to no good, and it's up to Sonic to stop him. When I look at this from another perspective, it is literally the same story as all previous Sonic games, more specifically, the ones from the 90s, recycled. Eggman is using the island's inhabitants to power his machines. Although there are some differences between the 90s games and this one. You have giant versions of the Flickies, which, to be quite honest, I don't know why they decided to go with giant versions, but they're there. And we also got some new characters added to the Sonic franchise. We have Fang, which is on the left, and Trip, which you see on the right. Considering that there is no voice acting nor is there text in this game, I can only assume that Fang is being paid by Eggman to bring in the giant Flickies, and Trip is just there for the ride. Or Trip is just an assistant, one way or the other, I really don't know. Throughout the entirety of the game, you will go through 11 stages, each of which has its own specific theme to it, and each level has one Chaos Emerald for you to collect. It's not like the previous Sonic games where you can collect 3 or 4 in one level. No, that has since been scrapped. You can only collect 1 per level, and there are a total of 11 stages. I'm using the term level and stage interchangeably, so if I mean level, I mean stage. If I say stage, I mean level. The special stages in which you collect the Chaos Emeralds are quite unique, and some of them were more difficult than the others. In some cases, you will chase around the emerald until you get it, or in other cases, you just wait around for it to come to you. In this stage, I had to wait for it to come to me. What I really like about the emeralds in this game is that each emerald gives you a new power. In this case, the green emerald, which is Ivy, grows vines that can reach high areas. The blue emerald, which is Avatar, produces clones of you that attack all at once. The red emerald is Bullet, which shoots you in any direction mid-air. The cyan emerald, which is the water ability, allows you to travel more easily in water. The purple emerald, which is Vision, reveals hidden platforms and items. The yellow emerald, which is Slow, slows down everything for you so you can react better. The white emerald is a little special. It's called Extra, and depending on the character you play, will determine what kind of move you get. In this case, Sonic gets his classic homing attack. It wouldn't be a proper Sonic game unless Super Sonic was involved some way, somehow. Collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, collect 50 rings, and you can go Super Sonic. But I'm gonna be 100% transparent here. Super Sonic is lame as fuck in this game, and I'm going to explain why in the next segment of this video. I truly do feel that Supersonic was just completely nerfed in this game. Supersonic is supposed to be the ultimate life form. Well, actually, that's Shadow, but you get my point. Supersonic is supposed to be a badass, and this guy is just a watered down, great value or wish version of Supersonic. I am severely disappointed in this. The purpose of having Supersonic in any Sonic game is to reward you for your hard work for collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds and make your gameplay just slightly easier, if not then infinitely easier. With this version of Supersonic, I couldn't spam attack anybody, I could not one-shot my enemies. I truly feel like it was just useless altogether. I might as well just play as regular Sonic at this point if I can't spam attack or one-shot my enemies. Not only that, but the speed altogether in this game was relatively slow in comparison to other Sonic games. Sonic is supposed to be the fastest thing alive, the fastest thing in the universe. But here, he was more like, I'm just gonna go at medium speed and hope for the best. No. That's not how Sonic games play. Sonic is literally the embodiment of speed. You cannot take speed away from Sonic, otherwise it's just the Hedgehog. I'll give credit. The game started out with emphasis on speed, just like the previous Sonic titles, but as the game progressed along, it became less about speed and more about precision platforming, much like Crash Bandicoot, and I'm not a fan of that. Sonic Team, Sega, and Sonic, I love them dearly. I really do, and I hold a special place in my heart for y'all, but this right here is just a massive failure to me. Sonic is about his speed and not about precision platforming. It was ridiculous. Now, it may seem that I am being extremely harsh on Sonic Superstars, and I'll admit, I am being very harsh on it. But I have to admit, there were some things that I did like about this game. One of them being the Emerald abilities. I like the fact that I could change my abilities on the fly. Like this one right here, I'm using my Avatar ability, which creates clones of me and I can attack whatever's on screen. The downside about using your Emerald abilities is that if you are attacked, then the ability just stops. I'm using my slowdown function here, which is really handy if I need to use precision attacks. The downside is that you have a very limited window of opportunity to use it. As you might expect, the game starts out really simple in the early stages of the games, but of course as you progress along, it gets very difficult. And in this stage right here, I feel like there are traps at every corner waiting for me just so I can lose my rings. Overall, I would have to say that the gameplay experience was mediocre at best, not the greatest, and I'm definitely not going to be remembering it later. The controls were easy to learn, but I did not master it because I did not care to. If you're a fan of the OG Sonic graphics, then you will absolutely love this. And quite frankly, I thought the graphics were beautiful too. 2.5D, absolutely amazing. If you were to ask me which graphics I like better, Sonic Mania or Sonic Superstars, I would have to go with Sonic Mania. Don't get me wrong, Sonic Superstars is beautiful. I like how they incorporated 3D graphics with 2D side-scrolling. It's brilliant. But I prefer the color scheme of Sonic Mania as opposed to Sonic Superstars. It's just something about Sonic Mania's pixeled aesthetic that just makes it look brilliant. Now, I'm not trying to downplay Sonic Superstars because it still looks pretty good, but it just doesn't give me that nostalgic feeling that I was expecting to have. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I'm quite certain that the target audience that they were shooting for were 90s kids, and that demographic includes me. I paid $60 for this game. Well, actually, it was just a little bit cheaper because I bought it at GameStop and I traded in WWE 2K23 for this game. If you ask me, this game is not worth $60. I would say $30 at most. Much like Nintendo, Sega likes to make their money off of nostalgia, and people like me. I can tell that Sega tried their hardest. They tried really hard to pull at the nostalgia strings of 90s kids like me. Unfortunately, their attempts on me, at least, were not successful. Keep in mind, I'm only speaking from my experience. You may have a different experience when playing this game. Quite frankly, I would love to hear your experiences if you played this game. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments below. I would love to hear your voices. Overall, I would have to say the graphics were beautiful, they were bright, they were colorful. I enjoyed looking at it, but it did not capture that 90s aesthetic that I was expecting to see. But nonetheless, they were still pleasant to look at. Once again, I can tell Sega was really trying to go for that 90s aesthetic with this music, and quite frankly, I don't think they hit the mark, but it comes really close to it. It was enjoyable. Arguably, the most relaxing music in this game was the special stage music. I could fall asleep to this, quite honestly. I loved it. My favorite stage music out of the entire game was the Cyberstation music because it gave like a techno / EDM feel to it, and I like EDM and techno music. Contrary to what my channel name is, I still like it. I know I've been bashing this game throughout almost the entirety of this video, but I have to give credit to the music. Every single stage has its own theme music and it matches it perfectly, and I think Sega got it right. Thumbs up for that. The music is amazing. Although, like I said earlier in the video, I think they were going for that 90s aesthetic but did not quite hit it. It is still really good. Truth be told, I did not have fun playing this game. It was more frustrating than it was enjoyable. But it was a playable experience, I will say that. And the music was great, the graphics were great, the story was the story. And full disclosure, there were times when I wanted to rage quit because there were so many ring loss traps around every corner as I progressed through the game. And once I collected all 7 Chaos Emeralds, I was expecting to fly through the rest of the stages with my supersonic abilities. I did not. And that really turned me away from this game. Supersonic was nerfed completely in my opinion. Nowhere near as strong as he was in previous 2D Sonic games. I feel like Sega was putting more emphasis on the individual Emerald abilities as opposed to Supersonic. Supersonic is supposedly the world's strongest being out there, and he was just completely nerfed. What the hell, man? Considering that Sonic is speed, the game started out with some emphasis on speed, but as you progressed through the game, it became less about speed and more about precision platforming. that's not what Sonic is about. Sonic is speed. And throughout the entire game, Sonic was just moving slowly in comparison to previous Sonic titles, and once again, Sonic is about his speed. This is not it right here. I'm really sorry, Sega. I love you dearly, I really do, but I'm gonna have to give this game a water score of 2 out of 5 bottles of water. It really does break my heart to give it this score, but it did not hold up to the expectations that I wanted it to be. I wanted this game to be good, but it just wasn't. And of course, all this is solely based on my experience with Sonic Superstars. I'd love to hear your comments about this game. What do you think? In any case, thank you for watching my video all the way to the end. I truly do appreciate it. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I love y'all, stay hydrated, and stay tuned for my next video.